Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live stream, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Daniel, and I am from the community team at LottieFiles. Today, we are super excited, and we have an awesome topic: design to development and motion handover. That's super awesome. Joining us today is Vinu Remesan, the head of motion design at Gojek, and Xiang-Yi, the senior product designer at LottieFiles. We hope you are ready for what's to come. I believe, and I see a couple of people in our comment section here on YouTube today, and I believe we have folks tuning in from all across the globe. So please do give yourself a shout out on the live chat. Tell us where you're from and say hi. Say hi to each other. Hi. For those joining our live stream for the first time, let me first start by giving you a quick introduction to LottieFiles. LottieFiles is a platform for testing, collaborating, and discovering animations for a community of designers and developers. The platform offers a variety of tools and features that aim to make the discovery, creation, and implementation of Lottie animations easier and more efficient. There are plenty of ways you can make full use of Lottie. Check out some of the Lottie use cases here, where you can use them in your apps, your websites, create super dope Telegram stickers, add them to your games, AR, VR, even more. Use them in your presentations like this, or even advertisements. There are over 130,000 companies that uses LottieFiles to ship their animations, from the banking and finance sector to travel tech to retail, e-commerce, and some of them include TikTok, Google, Airbnb, and Disney as well. Are there any familiar company logos that you spot on screen? I can spot many. Our team runs various events across the globe covering topics for developers, designers, and marketers. So do check out our community page on simply search for #LottieCommunity on any social media channels to find and connect with our fellow organizers and evangelists. And lastly, before we begin our session, please enjoy this short intro video about LottieFiles.
I've got a big fat drum, big fat drum. I've got a big fat drum, pounding so bad. I've got a big fat drum, big fat drum. I've got a big fat, big.
Listen. Yeah. Clap. You ready? Let's go.
All right, now without further ado, let me introduce to you our speakers for the day. We have Vinu Remesan, head of motion design at Gojek, and Xiang-Yi, senior product designer at LottieFiles. Hi, Vinu. Hi, Xiang.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Would you like to
Daniel.
say a quick hello to our viewers? Maybe Vinu, you could start first.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Vinu Ramesan. I'm from Gojek, from the motion design team. I've been here for the last 6 years and happy to collaborate with all these wonderful people from LottieFiles. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Hey. Hi everyone, I'm Xiang. I'm a senior product designer in LottieFiles, working on the mobile app. Hi everyone.
All right, and let's get the ball rolling for today's session. We'll have Xiang take the stage first. Xiang, the floor is yours.
All right, cool. All right, so today we're going to talk about motion handover, right? And what exactly we're going to hand over today is, what you see here is a home screen. So you can see that there's some nice little Lottie animation in the like top card, and little animation for each of the menu buttons, along with a little star here that moves. So I'm just gonna do a quick breakdown of how exactly this was built. And let's quickly go to the design file. Oh no, there's a red dot, and I forgot that I need to put a flights icon there. No worry, it's quite easily solved. All I have to do is go to the LottieFiles plugin. Since it's flights, I need to find a airplane animation. So I'm gonna pick airplane, and then try to find a good one to fit my app. So in this case, I want this one, but the problem here is it doesn't have the right colors, right? that fits this entire app. So I'm gonna customize it. But it's gonna take quite a lot of effort just to put so much effort just to change each layer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select these colors that I have already, and I'm gonna click generate palette. So what's gonna happen here is it's gonna change the color of this animation, just like that. Ta-da! And all I have to do is save it. And so what's happening here is it's trying to save all the animation to the new color palette. So what ends up happening is something like this. So your animation is already made. And all I have to do is just convert it to a GIF. And then what happens here is that it will slowly convert your animation to a GIF. So it's going to do it frame by frame. So it's going to take quite some time. So I already made another copy of it here. So let me just quickly get it. Ta-da! So I'm going to quickly replace it and put it here. So yeah, with LottieFiles plugin, you can just quickly grab any like assets you find on the LottieFiles library and just change the color just like that and fit your app. Okay, cool. So I'm going to quickly show you how the transition was done just now. So I'm just going to quickly duplicate real quick. So what happens, you need kind of like 3 screens to do it. So you need the first screen, which is a splash screen, and the middle screen to be like the middleman. So things that I want to be made first is some of the elements that will be first transitioning will be the few larger portions of it, which is just text field, the photo, and the card. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use the feature called Smart Animate to move things around. I'm going to move this all the way down there, and I'm going to shrink this one to this. I'm going to change the opacity of these 2 items to 0. I'm going to shrink it first. Put it to 0. Next is to do the second part of it, right? How do we go from this screen to this screen? So I'm going to hide the text, the opacity to 0 also. I'll move these elements down so that they have like a ladder effect. So I'm going to push it down 50 pixels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 50 pixels. Reduce the opacity, and you're basically done. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start connecting the screen. So I'm going to click prototype. There's a small little tool tip here. I'm going to pull and drag it. Click on this, pull and drag it. So now you're done. Let's see what I just done. So you click on this. This is the splash screen. Step 2, which is the thing that shows up with the card and the text field. And the last part is where the elements slowly fade in. So once you combine all this using the Smart Animate feature, it kind of just moves things together. So example, if you hover over the card, you can kind of see where is it coming from, which is the bottom. If you tap on the text field, you actually can kind of see it's actually hidden to the left. So yeah, I'm actually pointing the screen hoping that you can see it, but I just realized you guys can't really see that. Never mind. Cool. So that's how you can create this particular transition effect. So how do you hand this over to developers? So currently, if I were to do it as a product designer, it's a bit restrictive, at least on Figma. What happens here, you have to kind of like describe what happens. For example, from this screen, the logo expands, background effect. So basically what you have to do is you describe whatever you just did in a way where it makes sense for developers. It also helps them to have a preview of how the prototype works. So always give them a link to let them see and let them have a look on, like, if they say hands off, is it after delay, it moves to another screen and it slowly fades in, right? So these are things that you have to describe it through notes. And it's a bit tedious, yes, I know, but we have something really cool, or rather, Gojek has something really cool. So I'm going to pass the time to Gojek to really show, to Vinu from Gojek, to really show them what they have currently made so far to kind of like make this process a lot more easier. So yeah, I'm going to pass it to Vinu.
Thank you, Xiang. That was a nice transition you have worked on. But yeah, now I'll show you guys what we do in Gojek. So I'll just show you the video. What we're going to do now is quite similar with what Xiang has done. So if you see, there's the splash screen I've created, and there's this transition which is happening. So we'll be creating I'm sorry for the last frame, but yeah. So what we do over here in Gojek is actually we create all these animations on transitions in After Effects, and we create a spec file of it, the spec sheet. We call it a spec sheet, and the spec sheet has all these interactions choreographed layer by layer, component by component. So I'll just show you how it is done. So I've already animated most of the things, and these are the keyframes for it. Let me just slide it up a bit higher. This is the splash. I'm adding a position keyframe over here because what the plugin which we created only reads keyframes, and but there is no position change happening for this flash. The next thing I do is directly select all these keyframes, go to Inspector Spacetime. That's a plugin which you get for After Effects. Big shout out to them. And I just hit Get Specs for selected keys. Okay, so this is the JSON file which I get. What I need to do now is just copy it, come back to Figma, go from here. I go to plugins, go to motion design spec sheet, and keyframe length. I would want it to have 15 with 500 units per millisecond. Milliseconds is like all the milliseconds. The animation, entire animation is taking 7 seconds. So 15 into 5, that would be around 7,500 milliseconds and stuff.
So you're
for the
defining the
action
length
thing,
of the sheet.
yeah, I'm
Right.
defining the length of the entire transition
see.
which is happening. So now the action name would be splash to home screen. So that's what we are doing here. Now I paste the JSON file and I just hit generate and boom. So this is what we get from the plugin. So if you see all these components which I've named over here, so yeah, naming the layers are very important for us as well. So layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, 4, 5, it helps a lot. So this is a slash which is happening in 3 milliseconds. If you go to the After Effects file, it takes 3 milliseconds. Going back to, let me see. The next thing which is happening is the card expansion, which takes 400 milliseconds. If you go back here, this is the card which is animating. Let me just show you what's happening over there. So the card animation starts at 3000 milliseconds, you can see, and it rises till 3400. That's the same thing which you see over here, 3000,
That's crazy.
400 milliseconds. So with respect to that, all these components have been arranged in that the same way the animation is happening. And if you see, the curves are also included. These are the custom curves which we have added in from Gojek itself. So the curves are there, the positions are there, the opacity, whatever property is being used in the animation, everything is recorded over here. And we share this spec sheet with a video file of the After Effects of that entire animation. And this is what we deliver to the developers. So it's easy for them to look at the video, look at the spec sheet and figure out what is moving what. And you also have the component names there, which helps you to figure out which component is moving at what time, what speed, what curve. And that's it.
And they don't have to guess how long it's needed. No guesswork, and it's all
Yeah.
explained here. That is crazy
Correct.
useful.
So the timeline is over here and the component names are over there. So you can just figure out while doing it.
Awesome. Oh, that is so
That's
cool.
it.
Yeah, okay. I think that's basically what we have to show today. And that is really cool. We're gonna get Dan back to talk real quick about the if to answer any questions if you guys have any. So yeah.
All right. Thank you, Vinu and Xiang. That was a great session. Now, let's get to the Q&A portion of the live stream. Please, everybody watching, drop your questions for Vinu and Xiang in the comments section. In the meantime, we have a couple of questions first from our registrations. So let's get to those. All right, the first question is, what resources would you suggest for a beginner to learn motion for UI?
Okay, should I go?
Yeah,
you can go.
So okay,
I know my answer.
if you're a start, if you're a starter, if you're doing motion design for UI, the best thing is Figma. Use the prototype file, prototyping over there, or you can use Protopy even. Or if you want to get your hands dirty by going to After Effects, that's also welcome. But yeah, you'll have to export all these layers as images or whatever, export it with a plugin, and yeah, just do your magic over there.
But if you want to learn, I think that's also a good place to learn is obviously LottieFiles.com/education.
Lottie,
We have a few
yeah.
we have a few videos in regards of how to make any like simple motion stuff. And there's also, I think, a bunch of YouTube videos. If you click on Lottie or like motion design, there's going to be a lot of people teaching you how to make like simple motion graphics. So yeah, the internet's an ocean. You can just type in YouTube or even LottieFiles.com/education. So those are really good places to learn. So yeah.
All right, let's check out the next question, shall we? What do you do when the programmer complains about your design that it is too hard to make?
Okay, this happens a lot over here as well. So what you need to do is like explain your animation to the developer, show them what is happening. So I would say don't go fancy and go dribblish kind of animations, because a lot of animations can't be produced in the development side. So have some sympathy with your developers, talk to them, figure out what they want and stuff, and yeah, you would be able to do it for sure.
All right. Xiang, would you like to answer this question too?
Normally I'll just say it's not that hard. Come on. I think part of it is like try to converse with the developer and let them understand why is it needed to be that way, or sometimes you need to compromise some elements because from the developer standpoint you might not be able to see some stuff. So it's important to have that conversation with the developer to really understand where they're coming from when they say it's hard. Now normally
There's
you
a
can
timeline
normally
crunch as well. Yeah.
it's timeline crunch. So normally I would just say, can we just use drop a LottieFiles inside, right? An animation of JSON, just whack it in there, and that makes their life a lot easier. So yeah, they wouldn't complain if it's just putting a Lottie JSON inside.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
True.
basically it.
Lottie has helped
Yeah.
in the animation aspect of this, for sure.
Correct. Just tell them like how big the animation is, what do they need to crop. So yeah.
All right, thanks. Let's go to the next question. Let's see. How to create motion design system?
I'll leave it to the head of motion in Gojek.
Okay, so this depends on your brand. So the first thing which you do for motion is like you create the curves, actually the Bezier curves, which reflects your brand, and then you have to use all these curves with your components and figure out what the timing should be, and create a library of all these components and the timing which it should have for each component. So not everything goes with all the curves, so you will have to test it out and stuff. So if you have a design language already set for you, start using all the biggest components ever, then go with the curve which you have figured out for that component, and just trial and error would help you create a motion design system for your brand itself.
Awesome.
Learn something today. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at another question. I think we do have one more. There we go. How do you handle specs for UI transitions for animations without Lottie?
Without Lottie. Yeah, the same way I just showed you. But yeah, if you are just starting off, you can just create a Figma file with the timeline and the component name, like I showed right now. We also have shared a library of this spec sheet which you guys can use. So you can use the timeline, you can use all these component name, you can name your components and derive all the curves and stuff. Yeah, you could do it by that. But yeah, for a starter, just use a spec sheet with the timeline and name all your components and figure out the timing for each component and just give a graph.
Awesome. Thanks, Vinu. Xiang, do you want to answer that as well? No?
Yeah, it's
No.
really like what we just showed earlier. So yeah, it's really that you have to really describe it in a way where it makes sense for the developers. Or if you have a plugin like Gojek, it's so much more easier. So yeah, that really do be the case.
All right. We do have some questions on the comments. Are there any that you'd like to pick out, Vinu and Xiang?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, we go for it.
I guess there's a question from Anvesha. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. Anvesha Majhi. What should a splash screen size to operate fluently? I think when it comes to splash screens, you have to make sure that you don't fit just one screen, you have to fit many screens. So you can actually start with just one element that shares. So example, like an animating logo and a text. You only need that small part so that it can be resized for any screen. So you don't need to do the whole screen, just do the element and then one background image to kind of fit it. So the size of the screen will always change, but you have to make one big one to fit and easily crop around everything else. So yeah, so that's kind of how I would do it. So yeah, because There's going to be a tablet screen. There's going to be a nowadays you got your folding phones. You're going to take account of those two. So if your animation is only like, let's say, a mobile screen, it's going to look weird on a tablet screen. So yeah, you kind of need to make sure that the animation you're making is like huge, and the best one is to prefer the biggest size, and then you can apply it for many different screen sizes. So that would be how I would do it.
All right. Are there any other questions?
I see one, but I don't quite understand the question.
Where is it?
How do we do on animations before Lottie? How do we do animations before Lottie? That's a good question. I think most of the, this is more like a aha history lesson thing. Most animations done previously was done natively, so everything is through code. So developers have to type it up, everything, and then make it work, which is very hard for developers to do it because they have no frame of reference to what size they want. So it's quite hard. It's actually quite hard. So yeah, before Lottie, it was basically almost. It takes too much effort to do it.
The devs need to do all these animations.
The dev will tell their head, they're like,
give a heavy GIF to them.
So yeah, that's what will happen if you ask a dev to do that. They'll just tell their head. It's like, I'm a developer, not an animator. So yeah.
All right, bunch of more questions just popped in.
Vinu, you got a question for you.
Where do you draw inspirations from? I don't know, man. I just keep iterating like 10 times, 20 times till I find a way to, which I feel it's right enough to go through. Yeah, inspired from everything, like, man. I can say nature and stuff, but yeah, anything which is nice, it inspires me.
Oh, I just realized there's one very important question we didn't answer, which is, may I know of the plugin that Vinu was using? Vinu was using?
I was using spec. It is not released yet. We are still in the beta phase. We are still testing it out. We'll be releasing it for sure. It will be for free. You guys can use it whenever needed. But yeah, you'll have to wait for a couple of months for sure.
Yeah, so don't worry. One day it'll be out. But for now, they're trying to hide the thing, make sure they get it right before everyone else uses it. So yeah. Ta-da!
Okay. Any other questions y'all like to answer?
How is it? How important is it for motion designers to know code? I think to a certain amount, it's a nice to have. I think what LottieFiles is, it acts as a middle ground for the developers, for the motion designer to no need to know so much code to implement it. But there's also the fact that the motion designer who's making it must realize the limitations or understanding of at the basis of what's possible and what's not technically possible. So yeah, they need to know some level of technical feasibility. I wouldn't say they need to know code, but what's possible and what's not. That's I think that's the important part.
How do you optimize Lottie motion files? We want to tell them.
How can we optimize the Lottie motion files? I don't be a spoiler, but there's something coming up. There's something coming up that kind of answers.
Other than that, if you want to compress Lottie files, you will have to reduce all these vertices which you use in Illustrator. If you reduce the number of vertices which is there in the Illustrator or the number of layers, it would decrease a bit for sure. But yeah, there's something new coming up.
Yeah,
something new coming up.
Yeah, exactly. So there's something coming up, but that's later. But for the meantime, what you can do is that you can kind of, like what Vinu said, reduce the layers, if you can simplify some of the complexity of your animation, that will also help. So that's kind of few ways we can kind of optimize the Lottie files. So yeah. What's the most annoying? Oh, there's a lot. Don't need to say that one. Don't need to answer the question. There's a lot. Because like right now, a lot of
limitations in
supported
LottieFiles.
on all versions of so LottieFiles is being played on a Lottie player, and we have few versions of those. So some players can support some things. For example, animation might work on the web, but when you move it to mobile, it might have some issues. So that's the current one of the few things that we need to improve on our side. But yes, I wouldn't say annoying. It's something to improve on. Yes. Doesn't pre-comping similar
Yes.
file with the file size? I'm
It
not too sure.
doesn't
Vinu?
actually. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's the same. It takes up the same weight.
Because all you're doing is like grouping them together, so you're not exactly.
It's just a composition which you bring from the other composition, but yeah, it doesn't reduce any file size.
No, right. There's no such thing called too many questions. So thank you. Keep rolling them in. Keep rolling them in. Also, what motion design teams contribute outside of interactions inside the app? What can motion designers contribute? I think motion designers plays a huge role. I think in LottieFiles it's a huge role. Like a few of our talented motion designers in our company, they also do like our advertising stuff, like our Lottie social media posts, and they do an amazing job just like putting really cool stuff together. So it's not just in the app, they also kind of define the branding, the motion style, the movement. So I think there's a lot more that we don't see when it comes to a motion designer because they just do it. But I think when a brand can kind of like identify a certain movement of the like their brand, I think that's also part of what a motion designer brings to the table.
All right. I think that's about it, I guess, for the questions for today. All right. And of course, that brings us to the end of today's Q&A segment. I'd like to thank Vinu and Xiang once again for doing this live stream with us. But before the two of you go, is there any final pieces of advice you'd like to share with everyone? Maybe we can begin with Vinu.
Advice is like for designers, I would say like don't get stuck with just one vertical of the design. Go and explore all of it. Go explore motion. Go explore UI, UX, products, branding, everything, and figure out what you like the most. And it all will also help you to figure out the entire design system and give out better design for sure. And yeah, don't get stuck with just one vertical.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Vinu said. I think as a designer, you wouldn't want to limit yourself to just like one particular stuff. Like I, as a product designer, always do things like I'll pick up motion design. Like I go to some random YouTube video and learn what is to do. How do I make that trim path happen? How do I make that expand effect happen? So all those kind of things are things that you want to pick up as a designer, and you don't want to limit yourself. So keep learning, keep trying out new things. Because we're in the tech industry. If there's anything that we always do, it's always learning new things and picking up more new tools. So yeah, I think someone's like really pushing for one last question.
Yeah,
So
you want one answer.
Oh, feel free to take that last question then. Let's do it.
I'm
Let's
sure
do it.
magic.
But I honestly don't know the answer to it, which is, can you suggest me some tutorials where I can learn 3D motion for Lottie? So right now, I can't really answer that because I am not too sure myself. Vinu, do you know anything about this?
3D motions for Lottie. So Lottie doesn't support 3D motion as of yet.
Yeah, we don't support
if you
3D.
But
what
yeah,
people
you can
do
try
are-
out making. You can make a PNG sequence of your 3D motion, put it inside Lottie, make it a JSON file, and just export. It might be heavy,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's how you could do it.
Correct. Or you can achieve a more 2.5D. So you can explore more 2.5D animations where basically what you're doing is you're making the 2D animation look 3D. So that's the best that you can kind of do at the moment. Because LottieFiles currently does not support any 3D files or effects. So yeah. Hopefully that answers your question.
All right, and there you go. Thanks so much, Vinu and Xiang. And with that, I think thank you very much again. Now we will have Vinu and Xiang off the stage. Thank you again. Yay! All right, and before you go, dear viewers, do stay connected with us via our social channels. You can follow us on our Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you know, the works. GitHub as well if you're a developer, and chat with us also on Discord. So hoping to see all of you there. Lastly, and importantly, we value your feedback. Feel free to scan this QR code that you see now on screen, or go to the link, lottie.link/community, to give your feedback for today's live stream. Now, if you are interested in joining our network of Lottie community organizers across the globe and running events like this one today, fill up this same feedback form as well with the indication that you are interested in becoming a community organizer, and we will be in touch. Lastly, one lucky winner will be chosen at random today for some cool LottieFiles swag. So remember to get your feedback in. Lastly, I am Daniel, and on behalf of the LottieFiles team, thank you for joining us. See you at the next live stream. Bye-bye.